Monday. We're live from Wilson County Hyundai. And Zach, we're inside a pretty badass Palisade here at Wilson County Hyundai because it's freezing outside. So we're taking the show inside. Going to have a great discussion talking about Titans Browns and really the lesson that the Titans taught us all about this team after getting down 38-7 in that first half, fighting back to a respectable final score. But we'll discuss how we feel about that. How much value do we put in the Titans' second half comeback? We'll try to take away one positive from the game yesterday, but we'll also have a big question, Zach. Was yesterday's game more about the Titans being bad or the Browns being legit? Zach, you teased a really good question from a viewer in the post-game show yesterday from the mainstay. What was the bigger issue with the Titans' defense? Is it scheme or is it players? And then end of show topic, we've got a car, vehicle-themed end of show topic question for everybody. We're doing the show a little different. No, Max, we're not stuck in traffic. We are live here at Wilson County Hyundai. That's a good comment, though. In a brand new Palisade because these things are sweet. I've got my heated seats off now because they've got they got me so warm I had to turn them off. But you've still got your heated seat on.
Oh, yeah. Mine will probably continue to be on.
The temperature control is great. We're like a married couple. I have it down to 73 degrees. Zach's got it on high heat. So we're going to have a big-time show here inside the Palisade at Wilson County Hyundai. It's going to be a good one for sure.
Yeah, a unique Monday show live here from Wilson County Hyundai. Look, we got a lot to discuss. We're going to get to your comments. We've got a good show for you today.
Yes.
And it's a different type of show in this car, but I love it. It feels right. It just feels good. So special thanks to Wilson County Hyundai, a great sponsor of our Titan Game Day coverage every single game day from the mainstay. It was a rough one yesterday, but before we get started, please share the show. Bottom right corner of your screen, if you're watching on Periscope/Twitter, please share the show. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. That would help us out a great deal. Also on YouTube, also on Twitch, and also on Facebook. More people will pile in over the next 5 to 10 minutes as you guys do. Please share the show. Share the broadcast. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends news feed. So share around. Sharing is caring. And let's get this party started in our 2021 Hyundai Palisade, baby. Woo!
All right, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports, like our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it all happen for our show, for our business, and for you guys. Renters Warehouse, Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. RentersWarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where one 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout is free. The Tucker Agency, saving you money on your personal insurance at TuckerTN.com. Calvin and Settle for your new hardwood floors and finishings, CalvinandSettle.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Zach, we're live here in this Hyundai Palisade. People are asking what car are we in. It's this brand new 2021 Hyundai Palisade. It's an amazing vehicle. It's their full-size 3-row SUV they have here at Hyundai. It's pretty sweet. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where you can find it. They've got more Palisades here at Wilson County Hyundai than any other Hyundai dealership locally. So, Zach, after sleeping on yesterday's game, 38-7 halftime deficit, Titans make it 41-35, a little respectable final score, but that was not what the game really was. It was 41-35. It was more like 38-7.
Yeah, it really was. That first half, and it we talked about it yesterday on the post-game show, it felt like Bizarro Indy. I mean, that's what it was because the Colts couldn't do anything in the second half. Indianapolis, they felt the same way the Titans felt a week ago yesterday because, the Browns had done their work. Baker Mayfield had already thrown for over 200 yards in the first half for
Right.
4 touchdowns. Nick Chubb got going. And Austin, I diagnosed this game a little bit more afterwards last night. And it all fell apart really just in a couple of series of plays, right? It wasn't that the Titans, they had a string of plays that were not good. I look at the third down call, throwback to a backup lineman. I don't like that call.
No.
4th and 1, they don't get the review. The call stands, turnover on downs. and the Browns go back down and score. Now, the Titans got it 17-7, right? So they were still they still had the opportunity.
You left out the Derrick Henry fumble shortly after that, because even after the Titans did not get the fourth down play, the Browns just made it 10-0. Titans get the ball back. You think, okay, go down there, get points, and everything's okay. Settle down.
They did amend the Derrick Henry fumble, though, with the touchdown. So, I look at this game at if you're sitting there at 17-7, you're still in the football game. The Titans have come back from larger deficits from that. But the defense really started to show its head at 17-7. That's when it started to balloon. And then on top of it, the Titans couldn't get any points at the end of the second quarter. They could not cut it, right? The Browns had the opportunity to score points, and they were playing catch up. Now, credit to the Titans. Did they come out in the beginning of the second half with some juice, come down and score very quickly within 2 minutes? Yes, they absolutely did. Did they score multiple times in the second half? Yes, they did. But the deficit was too big, right? The damage had been done by Baker Mayfield, and you cannot win a football game in the NFL like that. You're not going to play early 90s wild card Oilers-Bills comeback from Frank Reich. Hey, yep. Speaking of, you're not going to be able to do that, and especially with 2 8-3 teams. So it was disappointing, and I think Mike Vrabel and the entire franchise had to take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, Indy was fun. Yesterday was not.
Yeah, Roy says the refs seem to always have bad calls against the Titans. Well, the Titans allow themselves to be in situations where referees' calls impact an important play. Derrick Henry on 4th and 1 needs to just go get the yard and not leave it up to a questionable spot, right? I don't think Arthur Smith's play call was smart whatsoever on 3rd and 1 before that. If you knew you're in 4-down territory, just run it twice with Derrick Henry. You're going to get 1 yard on 2 carries back-to-back.
Or he's going to lose 3 yards, and now you reassess what you're going to do on 4th down.
Correct, but you at least give it to your best offensive player who's leading the league in rushing, who is nearly unstoppable on short-dowted situations. You don't throw a tight end throwback to a backup guard in the open field. I talked about this in the postgame show yesterday, that the Browns trolled the Titans by throwing a touchdown to their backup tackle in that first half, too.
This is how you execute.
That's how you execute. But there's a reason why you see offensive linemen catch 1 yard, 2 yard touchdown passes where all they do is catch it in the end zone and don't have to do anything. Because all they have to think about is completing the catch of the football and not what they're going to do after the fact. When you throw to an offensive lineman in the open field, they have to think about catching it. They have to think about protecting it, tucking it. And then are they going to run? Are they going to fall? Are they going to get hit? So there's so many things that go through an offensive line's mind when they're doing that in the open field, where if you throw it to an offensive lineman in the end zone, you avoid all of that. So what is this lesson the Titans have taught us is that this team has flaws that I don't think they can fix right now. And those flaws we obviously know are the pass rush. We'll talk more about this in a lot more detail, but the pass rush, limited in the secondary as well, limited in their defensive scheme overall. Their defense is a massive problem, where the offense is the most prolific offense we have seen from a pro football team in the state of Tennessee ever. That's what the Titans have this year with Tannehill, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Derrick Henry, and more. So the lesson is this team is limited in what they can achieve because the defense is holding them back.
All right, so let's ask this question. Was yesterday's game more the Titans being bad or the Browns being legit? Now, Austin, you had some words yesterday on our coverage surrounding the game about the Cleveland Browns. I'm curious to see how you're going to answer this question, though. Was yesterday's game more about the Titans being bad or the Browns being legit? I think it's a really good question. I think you could argue both points. That's why we create these questions.
That's why we also preface it with which was more.
Right? Yeah. Right. Which was more yesterday. I'm also interested to see what everybody else has to say in the comments section. Yeah, live here from Wilson County Hyundai. The question is, was yesterday's game more of the Titans being bad or the Browns being good?
Real quick, let me tell you about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness. I did a Mandu workout before going to the mainstay for the Titans game yesterday. It's a 15-minute workout. In those 15 minutes of full body electronic muscle stimulation. I simulated 5+ hours in the weight room. The science is real. The results are real. I've completely transformed my body, my health, my fitness level, and everything with what Mandu has shown me about fitness and about how to achieve my fitness goals. They can do the same thing for you. Mandu.com. Your first workout is free. Also, if you go to Mandu.com, you can find their holiday package. It includes 4 workouts. So if you know somebody who's been thinking about Mandu, you can gift them 4 Mandu workouts this holiday season. Mandu.com, your first workout's free.
A to Z Sports, we're asking the question, was yesterday's game more about the Titans being bad or the Browns being good? Ryan says Baker is an elite quarterback with elite receivers. We were bad. Corey says the Titans being bad. Ty Kendrick says Titans not ready to play in big games. Browns being legit from Damon. So that's kind of the first that we've heard on that side. Apollo says the Titans being embarrassing. The Titans being bad. Too many mistakes from LJ Collier 89. Tyler doesn't play the game and says both. The Browns have been getting better and better. The Titans seem to be stuck in the 9-7 mindset. Now,
interesting.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think that they are stuck in the 9-7 mindset? I mean, they're 8-4. They're not 9-7. You know, they're trending to have a better record than 9-7, but they have to play differently than they played yesterday to achieve that goal.
Yeah, I want to say back in the 2017 season under Mike Mularkey, the Titans were sitting at 8-4. And then they went west for 2 road games at Arizona, at San Francisco, and came back 8-6. And Mike Mularkey basically got fired on that trip. They were able to salvage themselves. They lost to the Rams.
And that's what got them to 7 losses.
And then they beat the Jags in Week 17 to make the playoffs. They win the playoff game at Kansas City and beat Alex Smith and company there. And Mike Mularkey gets fired after they get blown out by New England in the divisional round. So we've seen, this is the second time in 3-4 seasons that we've seen the Titans at 8-4. They have a huge opportunity to finish this season 11-5, or maybe even a 12-4. I think they have 4 winnable games on the schedule, but they also got a couple losable games because the quarterbacks, they just made Baker Mayfield look phenomenal yesterday. And last time I checked, outside the Jags, you've got Matt Stafford, very capable of putting up big numbers. The Lions are a train wreck right now. But then you've got Aaron Rodgers, who is a beast, and Deshaun Watson, who can play very well at times, also very capable of beating you in Week 17. So this is not just a cakewalk to 11-5 and win the division anymore. You have your work cut out for you. So let's go back to that question. Was yesterday more of the Titans being bad or more of the Browns being good? Zach, what do you think?
I don't think it's about the Browns. I don't think the Browns are that good. They're not 42 points good. I don't think that they are.
Well, they're 41 points good. They weren't 42 points good.
And I don't think that they're 41 points good. I don't think that they are, 38 points good. I think that the Titans being bad yesterday made that game the way that it was. It was because of the miscues. We talked about them. It's because of the bad 3rd and 1 play call. It's about not getting 4th and 1 the very next play. It's about Derrick Henry fumbling. It's about defensively and go back and look at that deep pass by Baker Mayfield that kind of broke things out.
It made 24-7 was Peoples-Jones toasting Borders.
75 yards.
Yeah, one play. That was the first play of the series after Corey Davis scored a touchdown to make it 17-7.
That wasn't the Browns executing. That was the Titans not knowing what the hell to do. It was the Titans. Go back and watch. It's the Titans defensively. Look at their secondary. Watch the play. They didn't know what the hell to do.
It was a beautifully executed route based off of watching film. Like the Browns.
No, incorrect. Did you go back and watch the play, Austin?
You just asked me to go back and watch the play. I can't go watch the play right now. As
it was the Titans' fault. It wasn't great execution by the Browns.
It was a double move route that it was a one.
It was wide ass open.
Yeah, because
you could have hit him in stride.
What? Zach, Breon Borders is a practice squad player. The Browns knew that, and they picked him apart for 2 touchdowns. That's the Browns being good.
No,
that's the Browns.
Definitely not. You just said you didn't watch the play.
I did watch the play. What the hell are you talking about? I just said I couldn't go watch the play immediately after you asked me 3 freaking times in a row. Jeez.
The back half of the entire secondary is in. You got a guy on the other side of the field that doesn't know what the hell's going on. This is a Titans I watched the play.
Yeah, but how do you know they didn't know
I
what
went
was
and watched the
happening?
play multiple times.
How do you know they didn't know what to do?
Because look,
That's you
there
guessing.
was there was a wide receiver running obviously the double moot on the right side of the field. The entire other side of the field, nobody was deep, but there was a safety in the abyss of Nissan Stadium's field. It was a bad play by the Titans, Austin. It was not the
Breon
Browns.
Borders bit on a double move, and that's all that had to happen. And the Browns knew to go after
on double moves. That's why you have safeties, Austin. You have help. That's the whole point. That's the whole. It's the whole premise. It's the whole premise of having a safety in that situation.
Oh my God!
It was a mistake by the Titans.
It was man coverage. Breon Borders did what he's not supposed to do in man coverage and bite hard like that when he didn't have help over the top.
Why didn't he have help over the top?
Because
the safety was out of position. That's why.
You don't know that. Do you know the play call?
Do you know the play call? Look at the play.
Okay, what was the play call?
Look at the play.
I can't right now look at the damn play, Zach. Stop telling me to look at the play.
Well, then don't speak on it.
Zach, since you know the play call, what was the safety?
I've watched the play multiple times.
What was the
You've watched it once.
You're about to make me so freaking mad right now because you think you're smarter than everybody else because you watched the play on TV. That doesn't tell you what the responsibility was of the safety on that play. You don't know that.
The Titans defenders were out of position. It was the Titans' fault, not the Browns' great execution.
No. Good Lord. All right, I'm tired of this. A to Z Sports, let's move on. I think yesterday's game was more about the Browns being legit than the Titans being bad. The Titans were who they were the entire season, but they fumbled the ball, right? They fumbled a few times. But guess what? That's what the Browns do. The Browns are second in the NFL in forced fumbles, and they were constantly cranking that lawnmower yesterday and causing the ball to come out. Those were forced fumbles by the Browns, not lazy ball protection by the Titans. The Browns are good at forcing fumbles, and they showed that yesterday by stripping Derrick Henry, stripping A.J. Brown twice, and then Derrick Henry had the one pop up with the ground cause it as well. But the Browns are legit. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt didn't even have to do much yesterday. The receiving core can be dynamic. Baker Mayfield, when he has time behind a good offensive line, can throw down the field like he did yesterday. And the defense for the Browns, on top of dislocating the ball from the ball carrier, they've got a good pass rush. And that's what the Browns did. That's what the Browns have been doing. They've lost 3 times this year to legit teams where their offense got stonewalled. But the Titans
have never played like they did yesterday. It was the Titans being bad. They've never played one game like they played. They didn't even do that in Cincinnati. They played so uncharacteristic yesterday that it's not even funny. Derrick Henry does not fumble. I don't care about the Browns. Derrick Henry doesn't fumble. Like, that is not a part of his game.
Browns forced the Browns. When you look at, the Cleveland Browns are near the top of the league of forcing fumbles. That's something. That's something that they do well.
It was not a great handoff. The reason what started that fumble is
it wasn't a handoff.
It was between Tannehill and it was between Henry.
I disagree. It was because the right tackle, Dennis Kelly, got blown up, or maybe it was Nate Davis. It was Nate Davis, I believe. So Nate Davis, the right guard, missed his block, and all of a sudden there was a defender right there to punch it out before Henry.
And Derrick Henry did not have a secure handle on the football on the exchange. Go back and look at it.
I know that because Nate Davis blew the block, and then the Browns are good at ripping the ball away.
It was uncharacteristic of the Titans. They don't give up 38 points in 2 quarters. That's not that is not the Browns being just unbelievably good. That's the Titans being uncharacteristically bad. They haven't done that. Like, show me an example where they've played that bad this season.
They haven't. The result at halftime was the franchise record for both teams on both sides.
So
obviously,
it was more about the Titans.
So both are true. Both the Titans are bad and the Browns are legit. I think it's more about the Browns being legit because they attacked the Titans' weaknesses. The Titans were unable to attack the Browns' weaknesses until the Browns were like, okay, let's warm up the bus, let's get back to the plane, and go home to Cleveland.
They attacked their weaknesses in the second half.
Starting out.
Oh, you think that the Browns just came out in the third quarter and were just like, who cares?
They were up 31 points. There was no time left for the Titans to come back. All they had to do was chew up some clock.
They came back. If Adam
Zach,
Humphries doesn't drop that pass, it's a different
they were still
game.
down by a score
But
or two.
you're saying that there's
Zach,
no time to come back.
Zach,
They had 2 full
if
quarters.
Adam Humphries catches that pass, it's the end of the third quarter. The Titans are still down 13 points.
Exactly. They've come back
Actually,
from.
No, I'm sorry. If Adam Humphries catches that pass, it's the end of the third quarter, and they're down 20 points.
They
still
score.
have to score a touch. Right. You're assuming all this. The Browns had a 31-point lead. The Browns knew all they had to do was move the football in a couple drives, chew up some clock, and the Titans were running out of time. And so the Titans are able to take advantage of the Browns taking their foot off the gas defensively and just not giving up 75-yard touchdowns. We talked about this in the halftime show and also early in the second half watching together, that the only way the Titans could get back in this game legitimately was to have a defensive touchdown, because that means 0 time off the clock for the Titans to get on points on the board to seal a possession. It was all about time, and the Browns knew they had the advantage of the clock.
This was the Titans being bad. They did so many uncharacteristic mistakes in the first half. It wasn't the Browns just, here, I'll give you a good example. I believe that the Titans losing to the Steelers with the Steelers being good, right? The Steelers controlled that game. It wasn't that.
But the Titans defense forced the Steelers into turnovers in the second half to come back. So I actually disagree with you there.
The reason why the Steelers won that game is because the Steelers, the
Steelers survived. The Browns won. The Steelers hung on. The
Steelers had less of a lead than the Browns did because the Titans' mistakes allowed that lead to happen.
Yes, but the Titans' defense was more of a factor in fighting.
You don't make those type of mistakes that the Titans made yesterday. We have not seen that.
They lost.
So that tells me that's more uncharacteristic of a Titans team being that bad.
I think the Browns are part of forcing the Titans into being that bad.
And we'll find out really who the Browns are.
I think the Browns are legit.
For the rest of the season, they've got to play Baltimore on Monday night. It's going to be a showcase game next week. That will be very telling of who the Browns are. I believe they still have to play Pittsburgh again. So we will find out who the Browns truly are.
I think the Browns are legit. Rob says the Browns made the Titans look bad. There was a question about me saying the Titans were pretenders. I want to scroll back. Yeah. Daryl says, Austin, you see the Titans are pretenders. So are you saying Cleveland is the real deal with games yesterday? I think that's what you're asking. Yeah. I don't think the Titans are contenders. I think the Titans are limited. I think the Titans are not in this.
What are you contending for?
Yeah. Contending for what? Like the Titans are contending.
What are the Browns contending?
To win the division, the Titans are contenders. But I think to do damage in the playoffs, the Titans are pretenders.
Do you think that the Browns will do damage in the playoffs?
They are more set up to do damage in the playoffs than the Titans, because the Browns have a legitimate defense because of Myles Garrett, Vernon, and their other pieces they have in the front seven of that defense.
See, I disagree.
The Titans do not have that.
The Browns are not set up to do damage in the playoffs because they have no playoff experience. They don't know the moment is going to slap Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski in the face.
Well, you could say, I guess the Titans technically had playoff experience last year.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many of those. There's been a lot of roster turnover from the 2017 playoff season to what happened last year.
But still, the Browns haven't been in the playoffs since when?
Since Derek Anderson in 2009.
Yeah, they haven't won a playoff game since the 90s. So I'm going to bet. And look, it's a different Browns team. I understand generations pass. They come and they go. The Bills are not the same team as they were, a handful of years ago. But I believe, I'll give you an example. The Bills were in a very similar situation last year. The Bills had an opportunity to win in Houston in the playoffs. And you know what happened? They weren't prepared. They didn't have the playoff experience to make the right play. Josh Allen, which now got that experience, and I think he's improved since then. But I think that's going to happen to the Browns. So I would say the Titans are more likely to do damage in the playoffs than the Cleveland Browns.
I don't know.
Well, here's the benefit. Here's one of the benefit. The Titans will play a lesser opponent because they will have a higher seed.
As of right now, they're playing the Browns.
I think if they played the Browns again.
think
If they played the Browns this week
it
again,
would not be 38-7 at halftime. I understand that, but I think the Browns are a bad matchup.
I would pick
for
the Titans to beat the Browns if they play them again.
There's a really good comment that I want to get to from Jab Martin here on Periscope. So we'll do this here in a second. But first, Zach, tell the fine people about Tucker Agency.
Yeah, tuckertn.com is where you need to go to change your insurance. Do you know how much you're paying? You probably don't. Well, what you need to do is email will@tuckertn.com. Will Tucker and his team will take a look at your insurance policy, say, look, let's switch some things around here. 20% savings. It's the easiest email you'll make all morning on a Monday. You can save. Look, if your insurance policy is $1,000, you save $200. That's a possibility. But it won't be a possibility if you don't email will@tuckertn.com. Make sure you do that today.
A to Z Sports here live inside this 2021 Hyundai Palisade. Don't forget mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit up to $1,000. There's still time to take advantage of that deal. Mybookie.ag, code MyTitans to double your first deposit. Jab says, rank the AFC North quarterbacks as passers. The Titans have a problem with passing teams because the Titans went 1-3 this year against the AFC North, and the only team they beat was Lamar Jackson's offense. Lamar Jackson, who is limited as a passer, and everybody else in the AFC North have way better passing quarterbacks than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, better quarterback than Joe Burrow at this point in time, but a bad matchup for the Titans defense where Ben Roethlisberger, Baker Mayfield, and Joe Burrow were all able to make this Titans defense pay and lose big games. That's 3 of their 4 losses against those quarterbacks. And then Phillip Rivers.
And I'll be curious, if you look at the remaining schedule, Aaron Rodgers is going to be a tall task in itself. But how are they going to do against Matthew Stafford? That Lions game they got a win yesterday against the Bears. And the Bears blow. They're not very good. But they got the juice from firing Matt Patricia. And who is a good quarterback? Matthew Stafford. Mm-hmm. He's good, not great. I think at times he can be great. At times he can be really, really bad. That is going to be telling to see how Matthew Stafford handles this Titans defense that has its flaws.
All right, I got to read a comment. I'm not going to show it on the screen because Top Troop uses bad language. Okay, so Top Troop on YouTube says, Austin said the Browns are built for the playoffs and the Titans are not, but they just went to the AFC Championship game. Please stop doing commentating for us Titans and go to the Browns, you bleeping boy. Well, Top Troop, this is not last year's Titans team. Do you understand, Top Troop, that this is not the same Titans team from last year? If this was last year's Titans team and last year's Browns team, then yes, the Titans are way better than the Browns. But check your damn calendar, Top Troop. It's December 7th, 2020, and the Titans are not as good as they were defensively last year, and that is shooting themselves in the foot. Oh, my God.
So this is what I've learned about 2020, and it has been a very unique year. But Austin has gotten more in his feels about these comments in the last couple of weeks than I've ever seen Austin get in his feels. He constantly, every show, it seems like he's calling out somebody who's calling out him.
I honestly feel like fans this year are out of their damn minds. I honestly, not everybody, because we've got a lot of great Titans fans who understand disagreement, but Top Troop, who calls me a bunch of words and names and stuff, but is an actual idiot, doesn't understand what the hell he's watching this year. This is not last year's Titans. This is this year's Titans, and this year's Titans are historically the worst third down defense in NFL history. It's different.
Those are facts. And look, it is a different team. So look, Top Troop, I'm not defending him by any means.
He's probably not going to comment.
But I do think that the Titans are built for the playoffs.
They don't have a defense.
But they're built for the playoffs and control.
The offense is. And again, what I'm saying is this has nothing to do with the offense. The Titans offense is built to do a lot of big time things. The defense is holding them back.
But the defense has shown that they can play well. They played well in the second half against Indy, and really, I would say the three quarters. The last 3 quarters against Indy, that defense played well. The defense really didn't play that bad against Chicago either.
Chicago's got one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL.
I'm just telling you.
And they had 4 offensive linemen who were like practice squad guys. Zach, don't give me that.
But I'm telling you, and and showing you examples of where the defense has been okay and not just completely
Zach,
disastrous.
it was 14-14 about to head to a shootout, and then the Colts lost their left tackle, and Harold Landry had a field day.
They contained Lamar Jackson and the Ravens from,
right. And what
winning.
And Jab Martin's comment earlier on was a great comment. That's why I brought it up to set it up. Is that Jab said that the Titans are struggle against good passing football teams. And when they play Lamar Jackson, who is an inaccurate down the field thrower, the Titans can win that game. But they cannot beat Joe Burrow. They cannot beat Baker Mayfield because those guys
beat Josh Allen and the Bills. Josh Allen's a quality quarterback.
Yeah, the Bills game is something I don't understand. I honestly feel like the Bills game was a complete the Titans against the world type game because of the COVID situation, and they were just so damn pissed off they went out there and stomped the Bills.
Well, it's an example.
But it is an example. But
I have to, if you're gonna say what you say, I've got to bring up things to combat that argument.
That's fine.
And I think the Bills are a great example of the defense stepping up against a quality quarterback. So,
but Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen is more like Lamar Jackson than he is the pocket passers. Because listen, don't scrunch your eyes at me. Listen,
I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm trying to figure out.
Finish my point.
Well, don't tell me what I can and cannot do. How about that?
It's because Josh Allen is more of a backyard style football player. He's not a timing rhythm guy, which is who the Titans have problems with. And we talked about this after they beat the Bills, is that whenever the Titans play against quarterbacks who are backyard dudes, draw it up in the dirt, go out there and make plays with their legs and extend plays, that's when the Titans defense can succeed.
Isn't that Baker Mayfield?
Not yesterday.
But that is Baker Mayfield.
But it wasn't yesterday.
But that is Baker Mayfield. You just described what Baker Mayfield is.
Baker Mayfield has been that in the past, but yesterday the ball was coming out quick. He had all the time in the world.
I think it was more of the Titans than the Browns.
I think it,
right?
I think
who was uncharacteristic yesterday? Baker Mayfield was.
All right, sure. Both teams were uncharacteristic.
But that proves the point that it's more of the Titans' mistakes. The Titans
were not uncharacteristic. They were bad, like they always have been.
They've never been that bad.
Okay, well, right.
It's true.
So
it goes back to answer the question. It was more the Titans than it was the Browns.
I disagree. Okay, A to Z Sports. Let's get to our next topic. Let's try to think of some positivity.
You can't disagree. You just agreed.
I disagreed that it was more the Titans being bad.
I think the Browns agreed with multiple points on why it was the Titans.
I agreed with 1 point that they've never been that bad because it's the franchise record for most points allowed by the Titans in the first half, and the franchise record for the most points the Browns have scored in the first half. I'm agreeing with that fact.
That's why I scrunched my eyes.
Okay, all right. You're scrunching your eyes about my Josh Allen comment. No, that's not why you're scrunching your eyes.
Solid points.
A to Z Sports live here from a Hyundai Palisade. Zach, I'll ask you this question.
No, not just a Hyundai Palisade, a 2021 Hyundai Palisade with all the fixings. This is an unbelievable car. You've got to come out to Wilson County Hyundai. Exit 236 down I-40. It's a quick trip. Both of us made it this morning. Actually made it in a Hyundai. It was great. But the Palisade is where you need to be. I promise you this holiday season, Payne Bone and his team will make sure you have a perfect ride right there at WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
All right, so let's talk positives. I want to know what you guys think is the biggest positive takeaway from the game yesterday.
See, this is great because Aaron brings up, Austin, you are so negative.
No, he says you so negative. You gave him good grammar. You gave Aaron
Puka, Austin needs decaf.
I don't drink coffee.
You have drink coffee in the past. That's a lie.
I don't drink coffee before, like my morning routine includes zero coffee.
Have you drank coffee in the last 2 months?
Actually, no, I don't think so.
You're more Impossible Whopper guy.
Oh, I don't want to do that anymore.
All right, so Austin, let's take a deep breath. Let's not be negative.
I'm very calm.
Let's not be negative.
I'm not negative.
Let's go
real.
positive then.
I'm real.
No, look, the people are calling you out for some negativity. Let's give them and let's prove them wrong. So let's do this and let's give a positive aspect of what happened yesterday.
But Jordan says Austin is not part of the Titan faithful. That's correct because that's not my job. That's not what we are planning to do. That's not our business's goal.
Austin is a 1% fan.
But again, our business is not set up to blow sunshine up your ass or the Titans' ass. Our job is to react to what we see and hold the Titans accountable for the mistakes they made and then give them credit when they deserve credit, which I think we do a good job of.
All right, so let's force his hand. Let's force your hand. So prove the people wrong. And the question we're going to ask everybody is, what's a positive takeaway from yesterday's game?
Titan Superman is right. We did have coffee beers on Friday. I forgot about that because it was beer coffee. So beer coffee and coffee different. But
who said that?
Titan Superman.
So Titan Superman holding us accountable.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that.
I appreciate
big coffee guy, big coffee beer guy,
huge coffee guy. Okay, my biggest positive, Zach, is
hit me.
A lot of people saying Corey Davis, and Corey Davis was absolutely a big one. For sure. Corey Davis, over 800 yards so far. All he's got to do is average 50 yards a game. The rest of the way, Corey Davis has his first career 1,000-yard season. That's a big deal. A.J. Brown still has an opportunity to get 1,000 yards as well in the last 4 games. So you could have a chance to have dueling 1,000-yard receivers for the Titans this season on top of the NFL's leading rusher. So my biggest positive, Zach, is that Ryan Tannehill is someone you should always trust. As long as Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, the Titans have a fighting chance. Now, the defense can suck that out of him, but you look at what happened with the Titans' mishaps yesterday on offense. There was only 1 sack that Ryan Tannehill took where I looked at Zach and I was like, man, you cannot take that sack. And it created 4th and 12. They got bailed out of it because of a holding call on Adam Humphries, so it was okay, right? But Ryan Tannehill, as I thought about it more yesterday, Zach, we graded Ryan Tannehill like we always do, presented by Renter's Warehouse in the postgame show. I gave him a B+. I think Ryan Tannehill deserved better. I think Ryan Tannehill deserved an A-. It's Derrick Henry's fumble was not his fault. Aaron Brewer, or the play call to Aaron Brewer, dropping that pass was not his fault. A.J. Brown dropped one right in his hands down the field. That would have been a huge 30-yard gain plus. Adam Humphries dropped.
His fault?
No, it was an interception. That's something. Rule that Adam Humphries fumble, right? Like that would be the right thing to do if the NFL stats had morals, but they don't. They're stats. But Ryan Tannehill played phenomenal yesterday, and his teammates hurt him. His stats would have been so much better if guys just caught the football, or
So that kind of goes into my positive, and I think you've got to look at the way that the Titans, and this is why I believe that, the Titans, I don't know if they're Super Bowl contenders, but they're playoff contenders. I think they can make disrupt.
But Zach,
they're more than the Browns, in my opinion.
More playoff contenders than the Browns?
Yeah, I think that they will make more disruption in the playoff than the Cleveland Browns. I think you have to. I think that because of a couple of reasons. Like both teams have their flaws.
I think both teams are more one and done in the playoffs, but I think the Browns, because of their defensive pass rush, I think have a better chance to beat the Steelers.
See, I think because of Derrick Henry and their playoff experience, I go with the Titans on that. But so here's my one positive takeaway.
Okay.
At halftime, I don't know what was said. I don't know if Mike Vrabel went off the deep end. He started dog cussing everybody, saying, what the hell are you doing? Or was it really just calm? Was it, hey, what are we doing? We've got to play better. That's unacceptable. Defensively, we've got to make some adjustments. I don't know. We weren't in the locker room. I don't know if we'll ever know. But whatever was said, they did in the third quarter. They fought back. They didn't lay down.
No doubt.
And that is a massive positive. And it's not uncharacteristic because we've seen this multiple times this year. They did that against Houston. They did that against Baltimore. They fought back. They didn't quit. The Indianapolis game, I don't think they quit in the second half. They didn't score a damn point, but that was because of mistakes, right? The beginning of the Titans game, 38-7 in the first half, was so uncharacteristic, and they kind of came back down to the mean of who they are, which is fighters, good quality team, running the ball, even when they're down so many points, sticking to what they know works. Ryan Tannehill making plays. They could have easily just said, we give up like the Los Angeles Chargers did. They were down 28-0 yesterday. If you watched any of that game, they were down 21-0. At the end, a blocked field goal makes it 28-0.
Right.
Well, What did Anthony Lynn do? Did he rally the troops? No, he didn't. They lost 45-0. The Titans, different team than the Chargers, but I think that is a positive on Mike Vrabel and what he was able to do with this team to just say, we're better than the first half. Let's start from scratch and see how close we can get. You know what? They got pretty damn close. If they would have gotten that onside kick, or Adam Humphries doesn't drop the ball, or the ifs and buts, as we say, that is a different outcome, or at least a different possible ending. You have to give kudos to how they fought.
Okay, so let's discuss this, because no doubt, and Mike Vrabel was asked about this yesterday, and he said that, you have two options. You can either, fight or give up, and the Titans obviously fought and went out there and kept playing. But what can we make of this Titans comeback in the second half when they were down 38-7? So what to make about that? We want your opinions on it. I definitely have opinions on that. But first, let me tell you about Renters Warehouse. renterswarehouse.com, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. renterswarehouse.com is where you go to find out how much your home can rent for. If you've lost income, lost your job, don't panic, sell your house. Use renterswarehouse.com to create that extra cash flow for you and your family. If you already own rental property, don't DIY it. Let the pros do it. And Renters Warehouse Nashville will make your life that much easier as you build long-term equity. Again, renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
A to Z Sports, we are live from a 2021 Hyundai Palisade.
I'm surprised you, with the high heat still on, you're not sweating.
Oh, it's not high heat, it's low heat.
No, you've got your high heat up there. Your heat is on high on your side of the Hyundai Palisade.
But it's one fan. That's the best part.
I know, but my heat's on 73 on one fan, and I'm warm.
I like being warm. I don't like the cold. We've established that. It's one of that's my pet peeve. We talked about the magic bucket last week. My pet peeve is being cold.
Yeah, I think that's more of your pet peeve than bad.
I don't like bad restaurant service, and I don't like HOA president hat.
Right.
Jobs.
Okay. So Dennis says Vrabel is full of BS. No. So, okay. So Zach, you give credit to the Titans for their second half comeback. I think what do we make of that? Because you brought up.
It gives you confidence that they are still that you talk about the playoff contenders and all that. I think the second half tells me that kind of showed me that they're still playoff contenders.
Well, yeah, but they're not anything more than that. But again, this team.
But last year, Zach, what did they do last year, though?
Zach, hold on, let me finish. This team was 8-3 going into the game. They're 8-4. Of course, you can't compare them to the Chargers. Anthony Lynn is in the hot seat. The Chargers might fire that coach. They're in trying to compare the Titans and the Chargers for what happened.
I think who laid down?
The team that has a coach in the hot seat. Obviously,
0 points tells you where the team is at.
Zach, I think
they scored 28 points in the second half. That tells you what kind of team and what kind of coach they have.
Sure, but we already knew that.
That's the discrepancy of the good and bad team.
But Zach, you're not trying to compare this Titans team to the damn Chargers. You're trying to compare this Titans team to the Browns, to the Bills, to the Steelers, to the Chiefs. That is the standard that the Titans have earned for themselves.
But Austin,
Zach,
yesterday was circumstantial.
I don't care.
You admitted that. You admitted that was unique circumstances, that the Browns played that good and the Titans played that bad. You admitted that on this show. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the difference. That's the analogy. Get it?
No. I think
yes.
Think we cannot. And Joe Rexrode wrote about this on The Athletic. It's the Titans media and you guys, the fans, don't need to have that mindset. Hold this franchise to a higher standard. If you don't, then you're going to get the same 9-7 stuff year after year.
You don't think we hold them to a high standard?
By comparing them to what the Chargers, by saying, look how hard the Titans fought, the Chargers gave up.
Austin, what's the damn question? What's the question?
Is what to make of the second half comeback.
No. Read the full question.
Oh, it's the what's the biggest positive takeaway from the Browns?
That's what I answered.
That's
bro.
Fine. That's fine. But
are you kidding? You're turning. It's apples and oranges of what we're talking about. I answered the question and I brought some pretty damn good points.
That's fine.
And it was circumstantial based on the comparing first and second halves of the Chargers and Patriots game to the Browns-Titans game and the difference between what the
All right.
Titans did in the second half and the Chargers did in the second half. Don't get it twisted,
okay,
bro.
Zach, chill. Don't bro me.
I
Jeez.
will, because you're
Bobby,
putting words in my
no,
mouth.
No, I'm not. Bobby said, I don't understand Austin's take here. So let me restart, and I'll tell you my take. Is it good the Titans didn't get blown out like the Chargers did? Obviously. Like, yes. But that's what we expect from the Titans, to give some fight. Yes, that is a positive. If we're looking for positives in a game that you blew after getting down 38-7, then yes, one of the positives is Ryan Tannehill, one's Corey Davis, and one is the way they came back.
And that was the question.
Right. And so then we took the topic further, a step further, and we're starting to talk about.
No, we were talking about their second half performance. We didn't take it further. We were answering the question.
I did.
Where did you go, though? Everybody else was talking about this.
Do you get the pre-show emails where I said what to make of the Titans second half comeback versus the Browns as following up to the answering of the question about the positives? I mean, because that's what the plan is to do. I have an opinion about that second half comeback. Is it better that they had it than they didn't have it? Yes. But I don't think you can hold much water in that because the Browns were ready to go home. They knew it was highly unlikely for the Titans to have enough time and possessions to win that game down 31. So it's good they did it, but I don't give it a lot of credence. Don't overrate it. Don't overvalue the second half comeback.
I think you can value it.
They were allowed to have the second half comeback because the hole they put themselves in the first half.
But you cannot just devalue it.
I'm not devaluing it. I'm saying don't overvalue it. Just it is what it is. But let's not take
there is value to it.
Some
28 points in the second half, making the plays, scoring within 2 minutes to start the third quarter. The Browns just didn't lay down to start. You cannot discredit that, and I believe that is what you were doing, and that I believe is incorrect. There is value to what the Titans did in the second half and how they fought back. Did it fall short? It absolutely did. But do not devalue their try and what Mike Vrabel got out of their team after a putrid first two quarters.
Okay, so Alan says Zach is 100% right. He never said anything about overvaluing the comeback. I didn't say Zach said he's overvaluing it. I'm telling, that's my opinion. Separate from what Zach said, is I'm telling everybody here, my opinion is that I don't think we collectively should overvalue the second half comeback. The Browns clearly let their foot off the gas.
So the other point that you brought up, Austin, is analyzing this Titans team and saying to hold them accountable.
Right.
Was yesterday acceptable? No, it wasn't.
Right.
Is it the end of the world? Was it a playoff game? Was it a season-ending game?
It was a very important game.
Did it ruin your playoff chances? Did it take you out of the number one seed in the AFC South? Well,
no.
all of those answers are no.
It was a massive missed opportunity. But is the sky falling? No. But I think the ceiling is limited.
Okay, so but that's what I take it as. Again, I don't know what you say, fans or other media members, as you referenced. I take it as no, the sky is not falling. It was a missed opportunity. Their season's not over. They've proven that they can bounce back from bad performances, a la the first Colts game to the Ravens game. That was a pretty good bounce back. And the benefit is, who do they play on Sunday?
The Jags, who have fought really hard. I think the Jags deserve some credit, like a little bit of credit.
The Titans are going to dog stomp, boat race the Jacksonville Jaguars this week.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry needs a bounce back, right?
And he will get that. So, again, I do not think that the world is ending. Was it a missed opportunity to go 9-3? Yes. But it doesn't change my accountability for them. My expectations, as you know, really high consistently. I expect the Titans, for me, they need, now that we know how the season has gone, right? So the cream is rose. We know that the Chiefs and the Steelers are the best teams in the AFC. There's really no doubt about that. The Browns, I think, are still in the same bucket as the Bills and the Titans. I put them in the same bucket. We're going to wait and see. I think all three have the ability to possibly upset a playoff team in this year's playoffs, but we got to figure that out. They are in that second tier. And losing to the Browns yesterday and playing uncharacteristic in the first half and fighting like hell in the second doesn't change my opinion on it. And nor should it anybody's.
Josh says, my confidence has dropped big time in this team. Puka brings up, I've just seen this team the last 10 years just not even come back in that game. Sure. Lee says, I mean, the Seahawks lost the Giants. BS happens sometimes. Yeah, the NFL was definitely weird yesterday because
you have these games. And this was not like a Titans losing to the Jags, right? This was the Titans not playing up to their ability against a quality opponent, an 8-3 opponent in Cleveland, and they got too far behind. Just you really, what you have to do, if I was Mike Vrabel, you come in and whether you're on Zoom, I don't know how the protocols work, you wash your hands clean of this. You learn from your mistakes and not get into the coverage that the Titans got into on the 75-yard touchdown pass because that was a defensive mistake.
Breon Borders got toasted.
That was a defensive mistake. It was more on the Titans than the execution of the Browns. But you wash your hands clean, you move on to Jacksonville. On to Cincinnati, as they say.
So
on to Jacksonville.
Paulie D says it's a huge disappointment. Every team forward will be passing on the Titans. No pass rush again. And where the hell are the Titans safeties? So, Zach, you teased this in our post-game show yesterday afternoon after the Titans lost to the Browns. Was yesterday or are the Titans' defensive issues more about the scheme or the players? And that's something where I feel like you have a pretty good feel about where you're going to go with this. So I'm interested in your answer. Was the Titans' defensive issues the players or the scheme? But first, Zach, tell the people about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle, a great presenting sponsor here on A to Z Sports, as we are live here from Wilson County Hyundai in a 2021 Palisade. But Calvin and Subtle, you can get brand new hardwood floors. This holiday season, think outside the box. Don't think in the box. Rip up that old carpet and pull up the bad hardwood floors that you have in your house. Maybe you need to replace them. CalvinandSubtle.com. They've got you covered right there. And 1 to 2 weeks after you pick out your perfect hardwood floors, they come in and they install and they order the materials and boom, you're done. And your house is upgraded. You go through 2021 in the equity of your home is improved. That's CalvinandSubtle.com.
A to Z Sports live from a beautiful 2021 Hyundai Palisade. And this thing's sick. It's got the white pearly exterior and like the gray slate type of interior. You guys can't see the console, but it's badass.
We may show you around here at the end of the show.
We might have to do that. Look, it's got third row way back there. It's got the double sunroof. We don't even have the double sunroof open, which was I think was a mistake. If I can open that.
Oh yeah,
I tried to. Yeah,
well, you just go
that
right
one's
here.
that way. Yeah. So now we've got light. Man, we've been missing out on that.
Let there be light.
All right, Zach. What was the bigger issue? The Titans' defensive scheme or the players?
So I got to make sure we're answering this the same way, right? We're answering the same question.
Yeah.
Are we talking about yesterday or are we talking about overall?
I think it needs to be overall.
I agree. This is an overall conversation.
Correct.
And kudos, and I cannot remember the person's name who really started this question. I thought that was
going to be, yeah, they deserve credit for that.
Credit where credit is due if you're watching. But what's the bigger issue? The Titans' defense, is it the players or the scheme?
So this is like a chicken and the egg type thing because Monsoon says defensive scheme. He says it's vanilla. But then you can also say, well, the players could force the scheme to be vanilla because the coaching staff does not believe in the players to be complex.
Well,
right?
We know what Mike Vrabel thinks about this question. It's definitely not the scheme in his opinion.
Well, he said he's positive it's not because they don't have a defensive coordinator.
And I disagree with that. I think that the problem is they're not unique enough, right? Dean Pease, I felt like brought exotic. You bring back the exotic term, but he found ways to put Logan Ryan, Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson, Jayon Brown in positions to sack the quarterback because he knew he didn't have adequate guys up front. Do the Titans have the best defensive players? No, they don't. Is Kevin Byard and Kenny Vaccaro playing at their highest level? No, they are not. But I do believe that they can improve and be better with a better scheme. And here's the problem. It goes back to the defensive coordinator thing is I don't know who to get upset at.
Yeah. Well, I do.
And that's not fair.
It's Mike Vrabel.
But Mike Vrabel's telling us that that's not the issue.
So
do you believe him? Do you call him a liar?
The Titans have Shane Bowen doing what a defensive coordinator does, right? He just does not have the title. We've talked about this.
Why?
Shane, why? I don't know. Maybe having the title defensive coordinator comes with a raise, and the Titans didn't feel like giving a raise. I don't know.
Paid him They just paid Clowney $12 million and Vic Beasley $9 million
I don't
to
know.
not be on the team for Vic Beasley.
My point is, Shane Bowen is doing the job of what a defensive coordinator does by title or by job, not by title. I feel like the Titans have gone from Dick LeBeau to Dean Pease to a guy calling plays for the first time. I think it's scheme. I think scheme is the obvious. Again, how we're asking the question is, what's the bigger issue? They're both issues, players and scheme. The bigger issue, in my opinion, is the scheme, because the drop off from Dean Pease to a coach who's never done it before is obvious. And that's not like, again, Shane Bowen has never done it before. Like, that's not his fault, right? He's learning on the job. Dean Pease had done it for decades. And so there are different expectations with that. I also feel like the Titans have lost some specific chess pieces of players that Dean Pease knew how to use and Dick LeBeau knew how to use. Like, Logan Ryan is the perfect do-it-all chess piece for a defense. And Dean Pease, with his experience, knew how to use that. Same thing with Jarrell Casey. Remember when they started using Jarrell Casey on the outside more last year? Because Dean Pease figured that out. He learned, I got Jeffrey Simmons to do what Casey can do in the middle. Let's move Casey around to help us out here. Kamalei Correa was playing his best football because of Dean Pease. Dean Pease helped Kamalei Correa end the season with 6 sacks. Like, I think Dean Pease was that good. And so the scheme, I think, is the bigger issue.
I agree with you. I think we're aligned on that, and that's because there is no face of said scheme. Like, it may be Shane Bowen, I don't disagree, but there is not a face to say, well, the scheme is not working. How can we change the scheme or the person that is calling the scheme, right? Now, look, Sawyer says it's the players. He brings that up. We've had a couple. Kane says it's the players. I think you can make an argument for the players because they have worse players this year defensively than they did last year.
And some of that is due to injury. Like not re-signing Logan Ryan for the money that Logan Ryan wanted to play for the Titans makes sense. Logan Ryan's playing safety for the Giants. There was no room for Logan Ryan to play safety on the Tennessee Titans making $10 million a year, because that is what Logan Ryan said he wanted on locker room cleanout day. That was not reasonable. But you drafted Christian Fulton to be that guy, to play with Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler. But you've only had Christian Fulton for 5 games, and you haven't had Adoree Jackson for all 12. So now you're having to go sign Jonathan Joseph. He should have been cut. Now he was cut because he wasn't good. Practice squad Breon Borders. Ty Smith, who's limited, special teams guy. Then you've got have to trade for Desmond King, who's practiced for like a month, makes good plays, but Breon Borders is Breon Borders. And that's just the situation you're in because of really important injuries. The Titans could not afford, and no team can afford for 2 of their top 3 corners to get hurt and miss the bulk of the year.
Well, and Jonathan Joseph was an F and Breon Borders is a D. It's an improvement, but he's still a D, you know?
True.
So, and we call it like you see.
And Breon Borders, nice story, starting to get some attention around the league with border control and all that. Played well until he didn't play well. He played well until Kevin Stefanski said, you know what? I can toast this 39 dude over here. And he did twice for touchdowns in the first half.
I don't know. You don't want nicknames if you're a corner, unless you're Revis Island,
I think Borders control is perfect. Now, Jared says, I'd give Borders more credit than that. Why? Did you watch the first half yesterday?
You can't give him more credit than that. He's a D player. He's better than an F player who they replaced a guy who was an F player in Jonathan Joseph with a guy who's a D player. But there are no 5-star corner stores in Nashville. You just can't go buy one.
Yeah, Ainsworth and BA are working on those things, but they have to go to college. Eligible. They have to go to college first.
They're ineligible. Yeah. So, but the players are not good, right? Vic Beasley and your 2 pass rushers that you've spent the most amount of money on aren't available and will not be for the rest of the year. They have no pass rush. That's the biggest problem of their defense.
Yes, because pass rush hangs out the defense.
What was the biggest problem of the defense going into the 2020 offseason?
Pass rush.
they have the same mistake.
Pass rush is John Robinson's Achilles heel. He can't evaluate it. Like
Sure so ain't Kevin Dodd.
Like let's think about the pass rushers that John Robinson has either signed or drafted.
Landry has been good.
Landry is the best one, and he has rounded into a solid, complete football player.
Jeffrey Simmons is good,
but he's not a true pass rusher.
Daquan Jones is good,
not a pass rusher.
But making up the defensive line.
I'm talking about pass rushers.
But pass rushers are helped by defensive linemen.
Yes,
so I value
Zach,
that.
What Aaron Donald is different. Aaron Donald is a guy who can do it all. Like, you're not going to be able to find that. Again, people got their panties in a wad when I called Jeffrey Simmons one-dimensional yesterday in the post-game show. What? He is more one-dimensional than
I don't want to talk.
He's not a pass rusher. So pass rushers, you have to have key pass rushers, and I think Landry is the only guy that John Robinson has been able to do anything with. DeAndre Walker got cut. Kevin Dodd got cut.
Traded Correa
away after trading for him. Who else has he drafted? He hasn't really.
Well, Vic Beasley.
Right.
Jadeveon Clowney.
No, I asked drafted because you find your pass rushers in the draft. That's where you find them, because the good ones
are too costly.
The good ones do not become available in free agency.
Well, they do, and then they end up like Vic Beasley and Jadeveon Clowney.
Cam Wake.
Whoa.
Thank you, Brian.
Uh-oh.
John Robinson does like 92% really good.
Cam Wake was a joke.
Cam Wake was a joke.
Cam Wake was just too old. He didn't want to practice. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, you do know that for a fact. John Robinson does like 92% correct. The other cannot evaluate a pass rusher.
Well, so I mean, these are players. These aren't scheme. You know, it's a really tough question. Both are issues.
We know that. I still think the bigger issue is the scheme because of the drop off from Dean Pease to first year play caller, and I say first year play caller because Shane Bowen does not deserve to be thrown on the bus for being a first year play caller.
LJ Collier 89 says Wake was 10 times better than Clowney. No,
Cam Wake did not try.
That I'm out on Cam Wake. There's nobody can convince me that Cam Wake was good for the Tennessee Titans. Cam Wake was good for the Miami Dolphins for a period. I mean, he was a force.
LJ Collier says Cam Wake got sacks. He got 2 sacks against the Browns.
And that's it.
And then he basically waved the white flag.
Less pressures than Clowney. Yes. I'll take Clowney's pressures over Cam Wake's 2 sacks in which they beat the Browns like the Browns beat them yesterday.
And LJ Collier says, how many did Clowney get? Clowney didn't get a sack. But
pressures. That's what I say.
Clowney gave you more in 8 games than Cam Wake gave you last season.
In about it.
And that includes Wednesday through Friday, because Cam Wake gave you 0 Wednesday through Friday.
So we're aligned. Now, you can't adjust the players. You can adjust the scheme, right?
Did you say can't on the first one?
Yeah, you can't adjust the players. The players are who they are, right? You can't go, as I said, you can't go to a cornerback store or a pass rushing store and purchase one.
You can't where's Tremaine Brock?
Yeah, you can't do that, right? So, but you can adjust the scheme. I'll ask you this, Austin, to wrap up this portion of the show.
Okay.
Will the Titans change their scheme enough to improve their defense enough to make a run down the stretch of this season?
I mean, they're not going to overhaul the scheme. I think Malcolm Butler talked about some last week about how playing aggressive towards the line of scrimmage and challenging wide receivers helped because it took away easy throwing windows and it allowed the pass rush to have an opportunity. But at some point, it is what it is. And so the players are not going to change. The only way that, the players can change, actually. Christian Fulton designated to return. That's an upgrade. And then Adoree Jackson, I don't know. But that's the only way the players can change is by those 2 guys coming back. And I think if you want to win.
That's what they're betting on.
And yes, and if you want to win more than 1 playoff game, you have to have Adoree Jackson.
I just don't know how healthy he's going to be when he returns.
I agree.
That's why Christian Fulton, I think, can come back because, he was set to I mean, I think his injury is healing. We know a little bit more about it. Adoree Jackson, I mean, he hasn't played a game.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
Hindsight 2020, you kind of wish that the Titans picked up Corey Davis's option and not Adoree Jackson's, but they made the right decision at the time.
They had to make that decision a year and a half ago.
I said hindsight.
For sure. I wish we knew something about Adoree Jackson's injury so we could go to the Bone and Joint Institute and be like, hey, can we learn about what's going on here? But the Titans have been so close to the vest on everything happening with Adoree Jackson that we can't even do that. Let's get to our end of show topic here real quick. We are live inside a 2021 Hyundai Palisade. Somebody said on Twitter earlier that this is the longest Sonic commercial ever, which I thought was a really funny comment of what we're doing today. But are you a car person, an SUV, or a truck person? Are you a car, SUV, or truck person? But first, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. We've done doc talks in the past with the Bone and Joint Institute, and they've been fantastic. Taught us about A.J. Brown's knee bruise, taught us about Taylor Lewan's ACL rehab, also Jadeveon Clowney's sports hernia surgery. boneandjointtn.org. That's their website. Whenever that injury happens for you or someone you love in your life, make sure you get the best care possible. boneandjointtn.org. They do everything in their one gorgeous facility in Franklin, Tennessee. They've got over a dozen doctors that specialize in anything that you could need possible. boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports, as we've said, we drove out to Wilson County Hyundai. I drove out in my 2012 Hyundai Sonata. Maybe time for an upgrade. I may get a new car here next year. Who knows? And you know where I'm going? I'm coming to Wilson County. That's exactly right. Where I'm coming. WilsonCountyHyundai.com. This Palisade is awesome. It is. This feels good. It is a really cool SUV. It's got all the bells and whistles, which I like bells and whistles. All right.
So Ty Kendrick is guessing our preference. Ty Kendrick says Austin looks like he likes fast cars, and Zach looks like he drive a Taylor Keegan type big truck with big tires. So is Ty Kendrick correct?
As far as you are concerned, I don't know.
Just judge, is he right on you?
I am. So my first two vehicles of my life when I was 16.
Big truck, big tires.
Truck.
You're a truck guy.
Well, and it comes to my bloodline. You know, I'm a rancher at heart. And I drove trucks for the first half of my driving career. And then in 2012, I decided to get a car because my career, I was driving more as a sales guy, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to get 14 miles per gallon in my, I don't even know what year it was. It was from Canada.
Your truck?
Yeah, my truck was from Canada. It had rust all on the bottom of it. It was a long bed GMC Sierra. I could haul anything. I love that truck too. It was a
Bobby says ranchers ride horses, not trucks.
They do both. This is 2020.
Yeah, it depends on how many horses that truck's got.
Yeah.
God, that's so dumb. So are you a car, SUV, or truck person?
Let's read some comments. I'm curious what everybody else is. So let's go through this. L. Carter says he's SUV. Rob says SUV. We've got truck guy from Steph, truck all the way from Juan.
Yeah.
Van coming in. Joseph says 1980s truck.
Look, people it's not bad to be a car person. You could be I currently drive a car because of the same reason that Zach said. It's like I was driving a lot of miles around the city. I am an SUV person. My first two vehicles were both SUVs. I love SUVs. I want to get back into an SUV, and I'm going to at some point in the near future. But car made the most sense for my 20s. Like when I was out of college and drove a bunch, I needed a car for the gas mileage because it was smart.
Yeah. So
but now, COVID's changed a bunch, right? We do our show from our house majority of the time. There's times where I don't drive my car for 3 days in a row.
Yeah. And it definitely, COVID has changed the mindset. For me, my value of a car or vehicle, let's say, is the interior. I want cool stuff in the interior. That's why I love this Palisade that we're in now. You guys, here, this is what we'll do. Let's take you a little tour.
Yeah, real quick. Nate says Austin rode a moped in college. I did not attend the University of Florida.
That's good branding right
How
there.
about that? Yeah, second
Right
sunroof.
there. Or you take a little up, snapshot, screenshot. So take a look at this. We're kind of hooked up in the setup, but look, it has all of the bells and whistles that you need. I mean, look at this dash. It's just ideal. So that's kind of a tour. Look at the leather seats.
Yeah, they're pretty sick.
And look, the moonroof. This Palisade is sick. I love it. If you're looking for an SUV, this is like no joke, right? This is not a line. This is not a sales line. This is just straight honesty. If you are looking at getting an SUV, or your wife is, come to Wilson County Hyundai. They will hook you up in a deal on this puppy, and this thing is awesome. It truly is.
It really is.
So props to Wilson County Hyundai. Is this the first show we've done from officially a car or SUV?
Yeah. We've had a truck show once.
We did have a truck show once.
So here's a good question, because Juan and G-Man on base bring up the dueling moonroofs. Is it moonroof or sunroof?
A sunroof is just one. A moonroof is that. You see that there's a difference. You see the moonroof in the back?
What? It's a window in the ceiling.
It's larger.
So a moonroof.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
But
so why?
I want to make sure that you understand.
I mean, that's what I'm asking the question. So the difference in a moonroof and a sunroof is what?
Is the as far as what I know, again, we've got some experts probably in Wilson County Hyundai who can take care of this. But as far as I know, it is the width and length of it. It's the size.
So
moonroof is larger.
Monsoon says moonroof
Google
opens.
Hey, Austin,
sunroof.
hold
on, I'm reading.
Try Google.com.
I will. Don't. That's my joke. You can't Google.com.
I'll turn around on
Monsoon said, I'm going to give credit to you guys though. Monsoon says the moonroof open, the sunroof cracks open. But then Steph Dobbs says the moonroof only opens a little. So now I will go to Google.com and say difference.
It's a good site
between moon roof and sunroof. Let's see. Sunroof is generally any kind of panel on the roof of a car that permits light, air, or both. A moonroof is considered a type of sunroof, but the main difference is a moonroof usually has a tinted glass panel. So it's the tint.
The tint.
The tint makes it a moonroof. Untinted, sunroof. Tinted, moonroof.
The more you know.
So nobody was right.
But now we're
Alex says it. Alex said moonroof is tinted, but I think he cheated. I think he typed that after I said it. So these have dueling moonroofs. So you guys who initially commented with that, you're correct.
All right, guys. Hey, great show. Hey, props to Wilson County Hyundai. It's kind of our first. We're probably going to do this again. I can't lie. I kind of enjoyed it. It was
very
efficient.
comfortable.
It was comfortable. I had my heat on the entire time. I felt great. But special thanks to Wilson County Hyundai. Again, if you're looking for a vehicle, this is the place to go. Quick trip down I-40 exit 236.
Yep.
They'll hook you up with a great deal. Payne Bone and his team will make sure of that. Titans, man, drop a big one to the Browns, but they've got one on the horizon in Jacksonville. See what they can do there.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
Adios.